To start, I will say that energy work was my first love. I still love it, and it forms the core of my personal practices, my teaching, as well as my work with clients. And so, what is energy work? Energy work is really the mechanics or mechanism behind energy flow. First, I'll talk about this a bit within the human body. So picture yourself as kind of a series of pipes or a series of channels, like the acupuncture channels flowing through your body. Energy work then considers if that flow is healthy. Basically, if that channel, if that pipe is open and flowing, that means a state of health, a state of wholeness. Um, and if we want to go into spiritual awakening, it means a state of awakening as well. We then can have imbalances in that mechanism of energy. For example, that energy can get stuck, can get stagnant. It may be completely blocked, or it may be flowing through a bit, but kind of like molasses, or it may be flowing through, but just have a certain viscosity or sort of oozy quality to it. It doesn't have a nice, clear sense of flow going through it. The other state of imbalance that we can talk about is a state of devitalization. And so this can go to an extreme of having an absence of energy present or an area of the body energetically missing. And so, again, if we go back to our idea of health being a clear, smooth flow through the body, this would then mean that energy was either not flowing through that area of the body at all, that it was flowing through a little bit, but the area feels kind of muted. It doesn't feel like a nice, vibrant, healthy flow. It feels like, a very small stream, or it feels like a trickle of energy rather than that nice, crisp, clear flow. It is very common for areas of our body to feel devitalized. And from an energy work perspective, this is sort of like a machine that has been shut down for a period of time where that machine needs to like turn on a bit. And then there might be some creakiness or some goo or some stagnation in those pipes that is required to kind of get things flowing, get things going again. So for an energy worker, from a very simple perspective, the question can be, is this a state of health? Things are flowing well. Is this a state of stuckness? Things are stuck. They are not moving, but there is a sense of energetic gathering, a sense of energetic presence. Or does this area or part of the body feel devitalized or empty, absent energetically overall? And what is more even complex is that a lot of times people have both. They have an area of their body that is devitalized and it also has stuck energy to it. Um, and so typically a good thought is for beginning is that areas of stuckness are still a part of our body map. They're still a part of our conceptualization of self. Um, from an energetic perspective, from a spiritual perspective, we can look down at our knee and claim it as a part of us. We can see it, kind of register it. But there is pain there, most typically. That is the most significant sign of stuck energy, is that there is an awareness of that area of the body, but there is pain. When areas are offline or devitalized, we tend not to notice them. We tend not to register them as a part of us. Um, we may look in the mirror and not look at parts of ourselves, or parts of ourselves may feel sort of foreign to us. Or it may be just that we don't ever consider it because it's not a part of our body map. This can happen anywhere in the body, but it tends to happen in the back of the body because we tend to be more aware of the front of the body. It also tends to be in parts of the body that tend to hold a lot of trauma, for example, the abdomen. And so the objective of energy work would be to harmonize the system, to get a sense of what is going on in the body or in a particular energy channel, where there is either stuckness, lack of flow, absence, or not being online, and to bring balance to that, to bring support so that area can have flow going through it again, nice, healthy, clear flow. So ideally, we would have nice, clear flow going through every channel in our body, every cell of our body, every part of our body. Um, but that doesn't happen for a lot of reasons. Physical pain, past surgeries, scar tissue, all of that sort of stuff tends to create physical and energetic blockage. Um, we also have emotional reasons that can get a lot of energetic stuckness in our system. And if our emotions get kind of intense enough, that area of the body will sort of encapsulate them and go offline. It will remove it from our daily consciousness, our sort of waking mind, as a protective mechanism. But we will still experience on some level, however small, an awareness that we are not in balance, we are not in flow, that something, we don't feel like our whole realized authentic selves. I just mentioned emotions and trauma. Trauma, same thing. Small trauma may be stuckness. Bigger trauma may be, going off that part of our body or energy channel going offline. Other reasons for our energy to sort of go out of balance or askew include lifestyle, like getting enough movement, getting enough exercise. In Chinese medicine, they call this an imbalance between sitting and stirring, basically. If somebody is way too active, that can create imbalance in the body. If somebody is sitting all the time, that can create energetic imbalance as well. And also, we can talk about diet a bit. This is always a very touchy subject for people, and understandably so, but what we put into our body has energetics behind it. And so we may want to eat something heavy in order to feel more grounded. We may want to eat something that feels really nurturing in order to feel that quality of nurturing within ourselves, within our energy field. But as many of us are well aware, we can also use things like food and drink and substances to alter our consciousness, to alter our energy based in our suffering. And so this is a good example of the difference between um, psychology and energy work. Because psychology or emotional healing methods may be like, okay, this person is eating too much or eating the wrong thing, either because they were not taught well, how to eat properly, which is a big deal for people, or they are eating because they're eating their feelings, essentially. In energy work, we would consider whatever we are putting in our bodies to have an energy all its own that is going to interact with our own energy. For example, the energetics of eating a bunch of sweets creates kind of um, a false sense of nurturing, sure, but energetically creates a false sense of flow through the system. It sort of is momentarily exciting to the body, to the energy field, to the cells, basically sugar. Um, if we are talking about some of the heavier substances, for example, like meat products, some like heavy pastas, stuff like that, we may be energetically utilizing them to ground ourselves because we are too in our heads, out of our bodies. We may be utilizing them to create heaviness energetically, to create stagnation energetically, um, because otherwise, the emotions, the flow through our system would bring up emotions and thoughts and that sort of stuff that we are not ready to contend with. And so this is an energetic that is helpful to be aware of with our relationship with all types of food and substances, because we can go about it in a very judgmental way, sugar bad, and admonishing ourselves. But if we really look at the energetics behind it, why our system is craving it, um, we can start to get a sense of why we are looking to alter the energetics of our body. And from that information, we can gain a lot of insight. We can go even further into talking about things like alcohol is a fire energy, and what it does energetically is that it dampens the energy. So yet again, it's another thing that sort of pushes things down, but it has a dual nature typically. Like it tends to be excitatory as well. So for some people, when they drink, it may be just pushing everything down so that they can sleep, basically. So they're sedated. For another person, they may drink because that energetically, will get them into a state where they're likely to punch out somebody at a bar or something like that. And we can even divide this further into different types of alcohol to have different spirits, have different energies to them. That whiskey may be more of that fire creating, a flow of energy, that flow of anger through the channels. Well, something like beer may be more of a dampener, more creating heaviness and repression, stagnation in the body for the purpose of sedation, for the purpose of emotional repression. So let's go out further to the personal energy field. Our energy field can have the area around us, our aura, or basically kind of like an egg shape. Like I teach people in some of my courses, like if you push out your hands, you will come across a first barrier, which is typically kind of your etheric body or your shadow or your body double. And if you push out even more and feel Again, a little sense of hesitation or barrier. This will largely be where your aura is, your energy field. Um, Another good way to think about it is that your aura is essentially your personal space. Our personal energy field kind of waxes and wanes. For example, if you are in a crowded subway, your energy field naturally would contract because you don't want your energy field to overlap and sort of mingle with the 70 people that are on the subway with you. Similarly, you may feel really happy or orgasmic or, something like that, and your energy field will really expand. So with our energy field, it's basically the same questions. Is our energy field vitalized? Does it have nice energy flow going through it? Is it devitalized? Do we feel exhausted all the time? If we are feeling devitalized, that or an absence of energy in our aura and our energy field, that may be just because life is really exhausting. We're working a lot. We've had too many sort of personal tragedies or suffering sort of thrown at us in a short period of time. Those are things that are really devitalizing. Someone can also have a collapsed aura, where they basically do not have a sense of self. This is me, this is my space, this is my energy field versus other. And this typically has to do with somebody being taught that their value is only in being of service to other people. So typically people who are put into a caretaker position very young, or who are taught that they were worthless, or that their worth is only about what they can offer, what sort of function they can serve. And so what happens during stages of development where we're supposed to build this nice healthy energy field and gradually discover who we are, where individual self is that process will not happen because there is not the sense of safety for it to happen. Interestingly, a lot of people who talk about not having an ego, what they're actually describing is never having an ego, never having an experience in childhood where they could build that sense of individual self safely, so that during the spiritual awakening process, they can deconstruct that ego. In order to, destroy the sense of I, or whatever you want to call it, there needs to be a sense of I in the first place, basically. So a lot of people have a lot of devitalized um, energy fields, and when that happens, we don't feel like connecting with others. We feel like isolating, creating a blanket fort, um, depression, kind of that sort of stuff. Not wanting to interact with others, with the world, that sort of thing. Um, and for the energy field, we also need to consider how energy is moving. I've talked about this in some of my other videos, but what you can really sense from somebody is the sort of speed of their energy field. For example, you may have that friend that is always chaotic, always dramatic, everything turns into a huge deal. It is likely that her energy field is swirling at a very, very high rate. And what happens with this when energy is flowing like this and so chaotic is that we get used to our sense of baseline energy in our field. And what happens is that if we start to relax, if that energy starts to chill out or slow down a bit, we will create scenarios or create ideas in our heads or, whatever in order to get back to our baseline of that sort of chaos. Um, the other reason that our energy field can be really sort of intense or moving too fast is because we are stuck in a state of hypervigilance, sort of a flight sort of pattern of the fight or flight sort of energy due to past trauma, past stressors. And so for people like that, it is a process of um, slowly realizing that their system, their energy field, their nervous system can regulate. It's okay for it to chill out a bit. It's okay for things to slow down a bit energetically, emotionally, and all those different levels. The other situation that I commonly see a really frenetic energy system is with people who are going through a particular stage of spiritual awakening, where they are experiencing an intensive spiritual awakening, but it isn't grounded. And so this may be a common picture of top-down awakening, where somebody is getting a massive download or experience of a lot of ideas, but it isn't grounded in reality. And so it may be all sorts of words and mental energy and all of this sort of stuff that can be very interesting, but it isn't sort of part of lived experience. It's kind of like thought of like here. And so there are a lot of interesting like modalities and things that have emerged from this. But what you can tell from reading the person's work or interacting with their energy is that still that sense of chaos from them. And that sense of chaos will show up in their lives again and again because, again, this is not a balanced state. It can happen in things like Kundalini awakenings as well. Same sort of picture where there's all this frenetic mental energy or all of these big ideas, but they're not really grounded. But people who experience this type of frenetic energy while experiencing a Kundalini awakening will tend to do things pretty rapid fire. Like they will move to a different state or country, they will divorce their wife, quit their job, have all of these ideas about how they are going to start foundations and schools and come up with a new modality and do all of these things. And some of those may be incredibly fabulous ideas. And it is nice to feel that sense of expansion and that sense of kind of chaos. But there can be a question again of what would happen if this energy field would slow down, if it would smooth out, if the mental energy would sort of let go. And for people experiencing, that sort of like, I'm going to save the world sort of energy, that is wonderful. But what would happen if you were a regular, everyday, ordinary person? Would that be okay as well? That can reveal a lot of stuff to people who are willing to ask themselves that question. And so then we go to the opposite side of the energy field in terms of imbalances, where there can be um, that devitalization, there can be holes and tears and a lack of energy flow overall. And in this case, the person will tend to absorb or retain energies from the outer world because there isn't the same like amount of filters that those of us who have a healthy energy system tend to have. Um, And so then we can consider energetics going out even further, energetics between people, also known as energy cords. Um, I wrote a book called The Complete Cord Course for much more information about this, how to do this. But Um, our energetic connections to other people, is there that nice flow between us and them, or is there something gunky in this cord? Is the energy flow coming all from one person and being taken in all by the other? Commonly known as like energy, being an energy vampire. If you're the person that is taking all of that energy, that one-sided relationship, ideally there should be equal flow going back and forth. And so there can be a consideration of chords and if they need to be altered or shifted, what the chord looks like, even where the chord is placed in the body, and all of that can be looked at and shifted through energy work. But the basic consideration is still the same. Is there nice flow going through here back and forth? Or is there something stuck? Is something devitalized? Is something sort of stagnant? When we get to even larger spiritual connections, that can be a little bit trickier to talk about, but it is the same fundamental questions of energy work. Is there flow? If there is flow, is it nice, healthy flow? If we have nice, healthy flow with nature, we will experience oneness with it. We will feel that reciprocity of energy where we feel a part of nature and nature feels a part of us. Um, Same thing for spirit, for the divine. If we are experiencing a nice flow of energy with the divine, we feel that sense of back and forth, of flow going from us, out of us, back into us. Or there may be something that is stuck, cut off, stagnant. And that is the bigger consideration when we're looking to our connection or sense of flow to these big conceptual kind of thoughts, is one of connection or disconnection. Because a lot of times it isn't about having a healthy flow. For a lot of people, it is about not connecting at all. So there isn't even an experience of any type of flow, be it stuck, um, or even a sense of, there can be an acute sense of absence, of it being missing. Um, but sometimes people cannot fully name that. They'll just, experience it in different ways. But for an energy worker, it is always the same considerations. Is there nice, healthy flow? Is flow stuck? To what degree? Is flow absent or devitalized? To what degree? And the mechanisms behind that, how to get that flow kind of going through our pipes, going through ourselves and our, the experience of our field, even to the divine. What is our connection like? What is our connection like to spirit, to the other, to nature, to our pets, to our family? We can consider that type of flow and the energies behind it, um, with pretty much everyone and everything in our life. I do hope that this has helped and brought in some basic considerations. And to end, I will just do what they call the TLDR, sort of thing, which is just basically saying that when somebody comes to me or when I am doing my own basic work, the question of energy work is always, is there healthy flow here or is there not? Is something stuck? Is something devitalized? Is something empty or absent? And if so, what would let the system rebalance or revitalize or kind of come back online again?